Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara T Designs and today I have this black and rainbow UPO alcohol ink to share with you. So let's jump right in. So I'm going to create a 5x7 card base. So I'm going to cut down a regular piece of cardstock, which is usually 8.5 by 11. And I'm going to cut that down to be 10 by 7 so that I can then cut it or score it into a 5x7 base. I also have a piece of 5x7 UPO here. This is the black UPO. I actually forgot that I had this on hand, but while I was playing with my alcohol inks last week, I remembered that I have it and the what's it called? I have it written down somewhere. Snowcap, there it is. The Snowcap Mixative that you can use with this black cardstock and black UPO, and it helps you get those vibrant colors. So I figured we should try it because why the heck not when I've already got all my alcohol inks out and I was playing with stuff. So that's what I decided to do with this. So I don't have a lot of experience with Snowcap, which is the mixative you see me using here. So I kind of had to play with a few different ideas as to how to make this work. And it did take me a little bit of time. Snowcap is very powerful, as you can see. And I did use several different colors of the pearl alcohol inks. And I used all the pearl ones because I thought they would show up better on the black UPO with this white mixative. So we'll have to experiment and use, just the regular alcohol inks and see if there's much of a difference. But this is kind of the idea I came up with. And it's a lot of trial and error, to be honest with you. And I did find that I ended up having to add a fair amount more alcohol ink to kind of hide the Snowcap. Because I didn't really want it to look like there was a white background. I wanted it to look like there was a black background. That's kind of the purpose, right? But I found that I struggled a bit to hide Snowcap behind the pearls. So I don't know if that's because I chose to use pearls for this or because that's just how the mixative works. I'm not sure. So we will have to try this again with regular alcohol inks and see if it makes much of a difference. But in this instance, I did specifically use pearls. And for the pearls, I used Intrigue, which was the pink, Splendor, which is the orange you see me using here. And then I'm going to use Alchemy, which is yellow. You'll see it next. Sublime is green, Tranquil is blue, and Villainous is purple. And so I just kind of went through that rainbow order, except of course I've removed red and added pink instead, just because I prefer pinks to reds. That's just my personal view. But you could absolutely do a red. You could do red and pink if you wanted to. I just tend towards pink, so that's the general direction I go with. And I did find that I struggled the most with yellow to cover the white mixative and blue. And you'll see me get there when we get further into this. And I wondered if that's only honestly because blue would have a fair amount of white to make it that color. I'm not sure. Honestly, like I said, I'm pretty new to the mixative, so I don't know what exactly I did right or wrong in this, but it was a lot of fun to play. So it will, have to be something that I try again at a later date with just regular inks and see if that makes a difference. And then you saw that there were times that I went in and I added the Snowcap first, and then there were different times that I went in and added Snowcap and the color that I wanted on top of it just to see if that mattered. I went in with the blending solution. I used isopropyl alcohol. It's 99%. And I just kind of was playing to see the best outcome of these pearls on top of this black UPO with the white mixative. The one thing that I wish I had done that it's too late now, but hindsight is one of those things, right? I do wish I had left just a little more of the black cardstock showing, because that really tells you that this has a black background, right? And because I ended up covering most of it up with these beautiful colors, it's really hard to tell that it was a black background to start with. So I do wish that I had, just left a little bit more of it showing, but I didn't, and I'm okay with it. I love how this panel turned out. I think it's stunning. I absolutely love it. I did get a little overzealous with the purple, as you can see here, but that's normal because purple is my favorite. So I tend to be a bit heavy-handed with it, to be honest. But I had a lot of fun making this, and it was a really big trial and error situation. And I did go back in after you guys saw this piece and just add a little more yellow to hide that white. I'm not going to show show it to you, but I did do that. So if you see this panel look a little different here in a minute, that's why. Is because I just went in and I added a little more a little more yellow over top of the white Snowcap Mixative that you can kind of still see popping through there, just for a little more interest. And I did set that aside to dry and cleaned up my desk. And then I decided I wanted to flick on a little bit of this. This is the isopropyl alcohol. I keep it in this little blue bottle. And I'm going to flick it on because I wanted some kind of cell effect. However, this did not react that way. Interestingly enough, it does it a little bit, but it's not anywhere as noticeable as my last alcohol ink card. It was very obvious in that card. In this one, it's not super noticeable. So I don't know if that was really necessary because you can't really tell, but I still tried it because why the heck not? And then for my focal image over top, I grabbed out the Perspective Butterfly, which you guys know, if you've ever used it, is huge and wonderful. But I wanted to cut it out of white glitter cardstock. And I do find that some glitter cardstocks have like a bit of a top layer that I find is a little bit difficult to cut through. So I had to kind of trim it in a different way. And I'm sorry if you guys can hear some weird vibrations. My neighbor is blasting their music and it's like vibrating my house. So if you can hear just a really weird bass line in the background, that's what that is. I can't keep putting off doing my voiceover because my neighbors are doing things. So hopefully it's not distracting, but if you can hear it, that's what that is. But yeah, so I find that this paper is a little bit coated on top. So sometimes a little bit of it doesn't want to, go cut properly. So because of that, I did go through and I'm going to run this through. I ran it through once with the plates that come with the Switch Plus. That was those large ones you saw. And then I'm going to run it one more time through with my chrome base plate just to get the center to cut properly. Because this die is incredibly detailed, sometimes I struggle a little bit with glitter cardstocks to get it to cut nicely. I have no problem with regular cardstocks, it's just the glitter ones that every once in a while just don't want to cut nicely. So that's what you see me doing there. And I'm just popping out some of the pieces while it's still in the die because I find that to be easier than anything else. But I mean, you could lift this out if you wanted to and do it that way as well. Completely up to you. So I'm going to just keep popping some of these out and then I'm going to actually gently remove this from the die. You'll see that here in a second. And I mostly succeeded. There's one area that ripped just a touch, but you can't tell because I fixed it. I just glued it back on because at this point, I'm not doing this again. Like I'm not wasting this beautiful glitter cardstock and I'm not recutting it. So here you can see that I'm going to gently lift this out. And there are products on the market that are like die release sheets and, that kind of stuff. I don't own any of those and I've never actually tried them. I'm sure that they work beautifully, but I've never tried it. So I just, work with what I have on hand. You guys, I know I'm a big believer in using what you have, especially stuff like dies and stamps, just because, they're not inexpensive. So I want to make sure that I get all of the bang for my buck when I purchase these things. And you guys know that I love Tim Holtz. So I do tend towards buying his stuff because I just love it. But yeah, so I did go through and just poke out those extra holes just so that I could get them done. And then I moved on to actually starting to adhere all my layers. So I wanted to add a little bit of dimension to this card. It is going to be very dimensionless, flat, I guess. So I added some very thin strips of the Big Mama foam tape from Simon Says Stamp. It's incredibly thin. It's like 1/8 of an inch. I don't even think it's 1/8 of an inch. I think it's almost like 1/16 of an inch. It's so thin. So it gives you a little bit of dimension without creating a ton of bulk. And I just love that. I'm sure that there are other foam tapes on the market that are this thin. This was just the first one I found, so it's the one I prefer, so it's the one I use, but I did do that. And yes, a little bit of the foam tape didn't want to adhere nicely to the Yupo because Yupo is a plastic, right? It did struggle a little bit. So any of the pieces that, struggled to stick, I actually just went in with a little bit of liquid glue and adhered them back down. You could, of course, go in with a piece of foam, but the foam that I own is thicker than this foam tape, so I chose to use the foam tape instead. And then I'm going to adhere it down onto my 5x7 base that we've already created. And then I'm going to start kind of layering in every element that I want in the card. I chose to make this a birthday card specifically because I'm running out of them. And my husband wanted one for one of the ladies at his work the other day. He was giving his assistant manager a card and I only had like I don't know, a handful of birthday cards on hand. And if you saw how many cards I have like on hand at all times, a handful is not enough. So I'm going to be making some birthday cards here for the next little bit so that I can make sure that I have enough of them to, be able to use them and to have, because sometimes friends and whatever, I'll reach out and ask if they can purchase a birthday card or a thank you card or a whatever card, right, for somebody. So I like to have some made up on hand so that people can purchase them. And I am hopefully going to do a couple of markets this year. So I also need to have, that kind of stuff on hand for that as well. So that's kind of what I am hoping to do. I also need to get on making some Easter and Mother's Day cards as well, but that's, that's in the pipeline. It's hard. There's so many cards to make in so little time. I just gotta sit down and make some more cards. But I did adhere the butterfly just slightly off of the card panel. I think, at least that's my understanding. You correct me if I'm wrong, but when Tim Holtz did the perspective line, he only brought out 2, sadly. I'm really hoping he adds more. I love the perspective butterfly and moth. But the point was that you could literally use it anyway. You could use the whole image, you could use half the image, you could use, whatever you wanted of the image, and it would still read as a butterfly. So, or the moth, depending on which one you're using. But I chose to have a little bit of it hang off so that I could cut those pieces off and just have, the majority of it on the card front. And I think that looked really stunning without hiding all of that beautiful alcohol ink in the background. So I am really excited with how this turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you'll leave me a comment. Consider, subscribing if you haven't already. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday. And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Have you used the Snowcap Mixative on Black Yupo? Is that something you've ever done? Do you have any tips for me so that I can, use it even more successfully next time we try? Let me know, because I would love to use it again. It was a lot of fun. So that is the card I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.